this user group will be available for everyone online as well. So welcome to our Tableau Prep user group today. We've got a great session lined up for you, and we've got speakers Ajay and Will joining us today, so welcome to them. So a little bit about the Tableau Prep user group. We run these sessions every other month, and we try to work in different time zones. So this one is hopefully beneficial for EMEA and the Americas, and our next session will be suitable for APAC and EMEA. And then the one in December will be for the US and APAC. Okay, so our leaders today that we have on the call, you've got me, Jenny Martin, and Jack Parry as well. And then we've also got Jared Flores with us too. Jar and Beth are our APAC leaders, so they're not on the call today, but you will see them at other events. So this is actually Jared's first user group that he is joining with us today as a leader of the Prep user group. So Jared, would you like to do a quick introduction?
Yeah, so I've been contributing to Tableau Prep stuff for a while now, and I was just happy to be able to come and contribute as part of this group. Hopefully we can continue to grow it into a larger global community. And happy to be here. One quick note, last month in July, Sagar Kapoor, who runs Viz Connect, and I ran a Tableau Prep Academy, just a resource to help learn. We did just sort of learning sessions, hands-on sessions, and then a sort of project to cap it all off. And we're planning on kicking a next round of that off in September. So keep an eye out for that. We're just kind of taking in feedback right now to improve the second round. But yeah, overall, really happy to work with these great people and keep growing this thing.
Awesome, thanks, Jared. So yeah, we're basically spread across the world, so hopefully we can keep making good content for you all wherever you're based. Okay, so we've got a little bit of an exciting announcement as well, another in the theme of kind of keeping us all connected, and that's that we have a Slack channel that we've created called Tableau Prep Playground. So Jack's going to just talk through and show you a little bit of what that is looking like.
Thanks, Jenny. So just disconnected. Let me share my screen quickly, just to show you what we've got. Actually, before I just take over, if you scan that QR code, you will be able to join the Slack workspace. And this was something that we floated at our last user group. So when we started this user group 2.5 years ago, the whole purpose was to give the Tableau Prep community its own space and somewhere where people could connect. And we've done that successfully through the user groups. We've had thousands of attendees over the last few years, but the user groups don't really give you a place where you can connect directly with and learn from other Tableau Prep users. So we've created this Slack workspace, which is a place where you can do exactly that. So you can just become friendly with other people in the community. You can talk to the devs. You can get help with prepping data challenges, any Tableau Prep problems that you might have. This is your place to do that. So if you do scan that QR code, you'll be invited to join the space. And what that looks like is this. So when you join the space, oh, look at that, a few of you are joining, that's nice. You'll get thrown straight into this welcome channel, which has just got a little bit of an introduction. So we've got this random group where you can say hi to other people. We've got Prep Help, which is going to be the place for any bugs, troubles you might be having with Tableau Prep. And hopefully as we grow this space, there'll be loads of people engaged and someone will be able to give you a solution, or they might be able to just let you know that that is a bug and maybe to report that. We've got Chat with Devs. So we're going to get some of the Tableau Prep product team on this channel so you can talk directly to them and make suggestions, call out any features that might not be working correctly, everything that might be quite difficult to do at the moment. We'll have events in there. So these will likely be user group events, but I don't know. We'll see what that becomes in time. Maybe the community will grow into more localized events. I'm not sure. Obviously, prepping data is a big part of the Tableau Prep community. Jenny's here, but we also know that Carl and Tom were interested in prepping data having its own space. So that's exactly what that is. And then finally, if you want to connect with the user group leadership team or suggest speaker sessions, or you want to present yourself, then the user group suggestion channel is for you. So yeah, sign up using that QR code. It might not be for everyone, but there was a strong indication at the last user group that people were interested in this. Of course, you can always join and give it a try and leave if it's not for you. But yeah, good to see that some of you are joining. I'll pass back to Jenny now.
Awesome, thank you, Jack. So I'll just put up that QR code for a little bit longer, but I don't know if Jack, can you paste a link in the chat as well for that?
Yeah, I'll put a link in the chat, and then what we will also do is after this event, when we do a follow-up email, we'll put that out there to people that attend that might have missed, or anyone else that's been to one of these sessions in the past.
Awesome, that sounds great. Thanks so much for that, Jack. Cool. So I hope you're all excited by that. It's so cool actually just seeing a lot of you joining it as we're even now just on the call. So thanks for being excited and getting involved. If you're interested in other ways that you can get involved with our prep use group, then if you're interested in presenting at any point, then you can go to this link here, till.bi/prep sign up. We'll put that link in the chat as well for you. It's always great to have some of you coming and presenting your use cases. It's just interesting to hear however you're using prep at the moment. We want to hear about it. So always everyone's welcome to sign up for that. And in a similar vein to Jared's quick shout out, we always do usually a quick shout out here to the free Tableau Prep training that we run at the Information Lab. So it's called Thursday Training at 3. That's 3 p.m. UK time. So I think that it's also can be like Thursday training at 10 if you're in the US and in the correct time zone there. But 3 p.m. UK time is when it runs. And the Tableau Prep learning path is restarting on the 1st of September. So you can go to that link till.bi/talkdata if you're interested in signing up for that as well. Okay, but that's all the kind of admin side of things of the prep user group out of the way. Now let's get you on to our speakers. So we have, as I said, 2 awesome speakers with us today. We've got Ajay and we've got Will. So Ajay is going to be talking to you all about the data management add-on. We often get quite a lot of questions about that during our prep user group sessions. So he's going to talk you all through that and what that means for Tableau Prep. And then we'll hand over to Will after that to talk about his Iron Viz workflow, the workflow behind the Iron Viz. So I think that that's going to be a really interesting session too. You'll have a chance to ask questions after each session, so make sure you drop your questions into the Q&A rather than into the chat. And Jared will be handling the Q&A sections today. So without further ado, Ajay, would you like to start sharing your screen and take over?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Jenny. So let me quickly share my screen and just give me a confirmation if few people are able to see my screen.
Yep, I can see your screen there.
Okay, great. Okay, so as the title suggests, so first of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, as I'm not sure that from what all countries and what all nations you all are joining. So as the title suggests, today we will be talking about Tableau Prep and data management add-on. But before actually deep diving into the technicalities, first of all, I would like to give you all a basic introduction about me. So I am Ajay. I am from India. I work as a business intelligence analyst at Goldstone Technologies Limited. So Goldstone Technologies is basically a Tableau Gold partner in India. So through Goldstone, currently I am working for AirAsia India, wherein I am basically engaged in creating dashboards related to fuel, aircraft fuel, and cabin crew and pilots. And prior to AirAsia, I was working with Rupeek Fintech Private Limited, which is a startup based in India. Coming to my achievements, I'm a Tableau Forums ambassador. I'm a Tableau Desktop certified associate, as well as a Tableau Desktop specialist. Okay. So in today's session, we will be briefly discussing why data management is the need of modern enterprises and how Tableau can help you achieve the proper data management required for your data. So from data preparation to cataloging, search and governance, we will see how Tableau data management helps the organization ensure that trusted and analysis ready data is being used to drive decisions. So, I mean, as we all know that nowadays data is like electricity. I mean, I hope many of you have, many of people have would have heard this term a lot of time that nowadays data is like electricity. I mean, organizations need data to carry out the right strategies for the growth of their business. Businesses across the globe have realized the importance of data and are heavily relying on data analytics and visualization to capture their past performance and forecast their future trends. But have you ever thought that data can drive wrong decisions as well if the data is not properly managed? I mean, if the data is not prepared, trusted, and managed well. So yes, you heard that right. If you have lots of data and if that data isn't managed well, then that data can result in wrong decision making. That's why data management is a need of the hour. With Tableau's data management, organizations can sit back and relax as Tableau data management, which consists of Prep, Conductor, and Tableau Catalog, helps the organization ensure that prepared, trusted, and up-to-date data is being used to drive decisions. So over here we have an image that shows the difference between managed and unmanaged data. So obviously I will be, talking about all of these points in a much more detail in few minutes. So for example, if we have unmanaged data, then we don't have lineage information, and in case of managed data, we have the entire data lineage information. So over here, lineage basically means a visual representation of that from that how the data is flowing in the organization. For example, if there is a very big MNC or very big organization which have a lots and lots of data, so it becomes very difficult for the organization to keep a track that from which data warehouse data is flowing to which of the dashboards, then who are the owner of those dashboards. So if we have a proper data management system in our organization, so we can track that lineage information. Similarly, if we have unmanaged data, then in that case our data is not prepared for analysis. But in case of managed data, our data is always prepared for analysis. And similarly, there are other points as well. I mean, in case of unmanaged data, fresh and up-to-date data is not always available. But in case of managed data, fresh and up-to-date data is always available. Similarly, unmanaged data result in wrong decision making, and managed data result in data-driven decision making. And so, because of all of these points, so unmanaged data is non-trustworthy, and managed data is obviously the trustworthy data. So we will be obviously covering. I will be obviously covering all of these points in much more detail in the coming slides. So let us meet Sam. So Sam is basically works as an analyst at a retail brand. So I mean for this particular retail brand for which Sam works. So I mean this particular retail brand has stores across various geographical locations, and some of the roles and responsibilities of Sam are listed below. So some of the roles and responsibilities of Sam are to carry out the analytics for all these stores and prepare data for analytics, make sure that data is always up to date and reports are always available to higher management, and and obviously deliver the dashboards and reports. So Sam basically receives scattered, messy, and raw data from all the individual store managers. I mean, as I previously told you, I mean, for this particular retail brand for which Sam works for, I mean, the stores of this particular retail brand are scattered across various geographical locations. I mean, some of its stores are in London, some of its stores are in some other city. So Sam basically receives individual and scattered data from all these from all of these store managers, and Sam basically need to convert this particular scattered, messy, and raw data into a structured and analytics ready data, which is into a structured and analytics ready data, which is ready for the visualization. But as we all know that data preparation and cleaning is really very challenging. So that is where Tableau Prep Builder comes into the picture. So Tableau Prep Builder is a data preparation and cleaning tool that helps you confidently prepare your data for analysis. So now, as a next step, we will see that what is the data which Sam receives from all the individual store managers, and how Tableau Prep can help in cleaning this particular data. So if I just show you the data which Sam receives from all the individual store managers. So yeah, just a minute. Yeah. So if I just go to the, yeah. So as you can see, this is the input data set which Sam basically receives from all the individual or from all the individual store managers. So if I just quickly explain you this particular data. So over here we have the date field. So date basically, I mean this particular column is self-explanatory, which is the date. So this particular data is basically saying us that on 21st of January, how many new customer purchase saddles, similarly how many new customer purchase mudguards, and how many existing customer purchase saddles and how many existing customer purchase mudguards. So over here, new and existing basically represents a type of customer, whether I mean the customer is a new customer or the customer is an existing customer. And these saddles, mudguards, and wheels basically represent the various products. So I mean this particular data is for the Manchester store, and similarly, we have this particular data for London, for Leeds, for York, and from Birmingham. So we have this particular data for all the individual stores. And apart from all this individual stores data, we also have the targets data. Targets data, which is scattered across quarters. So for quarter number one, for first quarter for the Manchester store, I mean, what was the target which this particular store wanted to achieve? So as you can see, this particular data is very in a very raw and scattered format, and this particular data as of now is not stored in a fashion which can be directly visualized or which is easy for the higher management to perform some analysis on this particular data. So now Sam will be using Tableau Prep Builder to convert this particular data in a format which is easy for us to read and for which is easy for us to visualize. So as a next step, I will just quickly connect this particular data to Tableau Prep. So I will just go over here. I will just select the option. I will just go inside the, let me select the Excel file option. Yeah. So now I am connected to this particular data. So as you can see, inside that particular Excel sheet, whatever the individual sheets I was having, which was the sheet of all the individual stores, I have the sheet of all that. I have all that data over here. So if I drag one of the sheet on the canvas, let's say Birmingham, I'm just dragging Birmingham over here. So it is now basically showing me all the columns which are present inside this particular sheet. Now, as a next step, I basically want to do analysis on all these stores and not just the Birmingham store. So now, as a next step, I will be applying a union to basically club all the stores data into this particular step. So I will go to the multiple files option over here, and as a next step, I will go to the wildcard union option. And as you can see, I mean, I just want to exclude this targets information as of now because I just want all the individual stores data. So over here inside the sheets, I will just click on exclude and I will just type targets. And so as you can see, the targets has been removed, and I will now click on apply. Yeah. So if I add a clean step. So as you can see, we have the date, we have all the individual columns, and this particular file paths column doesn't make any sense. So we can just remove this particular column. And this particular table name column, this particular table names column basically represents all the individual stores. So I will just rename this particular column to store. Okay. Now as a yeah, so it has been renamed. Now as a next step, I will add a pivot step because I mean the reason I am adding a pivot step over here because I have all of this information in a column format, but I just want to pivot this particular data. So as a next step, I will click on this plus button and I will go to the pivot option. So as you can see, we have all of these particular columns in our data, and we can see there is a single thing. There is a common thing between all of these columns, which is a dash. So I will just use a wildcard option to pivot. So I will just click on this use wildcard search to pivot. And as a next step, I will enter dash over here. So as you can see, now the pivot has been created. Now as a next step, I will again add a clean step. And I mean this particular pivot one values basically represents the total number of products sold. So I will just rename this particular column to products sold. Okay, and yeah, okay, so it has been renamed to products sold. And this particular column basically represents two information. I mean, we have the existing and new and the type of product. So this particular column basically represents the type of customer as well as the type of product. So I will just split this particular column into two parts. So I will just right click over here. I will go to the split values option. I will go to the custom split, and the delimiter or the separator will be the dash. So I will just click on that dash, and I will split off all the columns. So the split has taken place. Now we can remove this existing column from here. So this particular column basically represents the customer's type. So I will just rename this particular column to customer type. And this particular column basically represents the product. So I will just quickly rename this particular product to, this particular column to product, or maybe product type. Okay. So as a next step, as you can see that this particular data as of now is very scattered. This particular data, the line item over here is basically an individual date. And in the final analysis, which I want, I basically want to measure my data quarter wise. So as a next step, I will be converting all of these individual dates to their respective quarter numbers. And doing that in Tableau Prep is very, very straightforward. We don't need to write any external calculation for doing that. I will just select this particular column. I will right click and I will do the convert dates option, and I will just click on quarter number. So now as I click on quarter number, so all of these dates will now get converted to their respective quarter number. So we have done that. Now, as a next step, as you can see, if I just show you the individual data, this particular data is scattered across. Across all the. The line item over here is the quarter. But I want to aggregate this data based on the quarter as well as the stores. So as a next step, I will just quickly rename this particular date to quarter, because these number basically represents a quarter. And I will add an aggregate step over here. So first of all, I will add product sold over here on this particular in the aggregated fields option, and I want to break this particular total number of products sold based on the individual store. So I will just drag the store over here. So whatever the stores, we have 5 stores. We have 5 stores in our data set. So that particular previous amount, which was 7,000 something, has been now broken according to each and every store. And as well as I want to also group this particular data based on each and every quarter. So I will just over here we have the quarter. So I will just select group by from here. So this particular data, the total number of products sold has been now broken according to the total number of according to the quarter as well as according to stores. And now, as a next step, I will again add a clean step to just see that what is the data we have in our hand. So we have the total number of products sold, we have the quarter, and we have the store. Now, as a next step, we need to compare the total number of products sold with the targets. Obviously we need to we basically need a comparison between what was the target which each and every store wanted to achieve and what it has achieved. So over here we also have the targets data. So as a next step, we will create a join between this particular data and the targets data which we have. So I will bring in target data from here, and I will apply a join. So as of now, it has already applied join based on the quarter number, but we also want to join based on store. So I will just click on this plus option over here, and I will just select store over here. So now as you can see that the join has been applied based on store as well as the quarter number. So if I just again add a clean step over here. So we have the product sold, we have the quarter, we have the store, and these quarter and store are repeated more than once because we applied a join. So I will just remove these two, quarter and store. The extra quarter and store column which we have. Now, as a next step, we will be creating a calculation which basically calculates the variance to target. That how the number of products sold has been variance from target. So for creating a calculated field, I will just go to this create a calculated field option over here, and I will name this particular calculation as variance to target. And the formula for this will be product sold minus target. So this particular calculation will basically give us the variance to target for all of the individual stores. no, as you can see over here, we have got the variance to target. But now, as a next step, I mean, in the final data set, or in the final result which we want, we basically want to rank all these stores. We basically want to rank all these stores based on the total number of targets which they have achieved based on each quarter. So I will just right click over here, and I will go to the create calculated field option, and I'll go to the rank option. Yeah. So, as you can see that this particular thing is basically giving us a rank. So, but we want to rank based on each and every quarter. So in the group by option, I will just select quarter as well. Now, as a next step, if I again add a clean step over here, so this particular column basically represents the rank. So I will just quickly name it rank. And if I just quickly shuffle the column, then it will make more sense. So yeah, over here we have the rank, then we have the quarter, then we have the store, then we have the total number of products sold, then we have the target, and we have the variance to target. So as you can see that the earlier the data which we had, which was very scattered, messy, and raw data, is now being converted has now been converted into this particular fashion, which is very easy to visualize. For example, over here we have the rank column, and over here we have the quarter. So this particular data basically tells that in quarter number 2, the number one rank or the number one store was York, because it sold around 329 products, but the target was just of 300. So it basically sold 29 products more. And the least performing store in for quarter number 2 was Manchester, because it only sold 288 products, but the target was of 300. So it has basically sold 12 products less. So the variance to target is basically minus 12. So as you can see that particular raw, scattered, and messy data has been now converted to this particular data, which is more easy to see, and I mean more easy to visualize if we create some visualization out of this particular data in Tableau desktop. So now, as a next step, I will, as a last step of this particular Tableau prep flow, I will be adding an output step over here, and I will be just saving this particular data as a file only, and Microsoft Excel, and I will just quickly run this particular flow, so that I mean this particular data will be saved. So I will just quickly rename this particular worksheet as store data. Yeah. So if I just run this flow, so this particular flow will run and the output file will be created at this particular location. So this was all about Tableau Prep, that how Tableau Prep will be helping Sam in basically achieving the data cleaning which is required for his data. But Sam basically wants to automate this process of data cleaning. I mean, Sam doesn't want to come each and every day in the morning in the organization, and he doesn't want to manually open this particular flow and manually click on this particular run button, manually click on this particular run button to run this particular flow. I mean, Sam basically wants an automated solution wherein as soon as any new data is entering the ecosystem, that particular data should automatically get cleaned. So this is where the role of Tableau data management comes into the picture. So if I just share my PPT again. So Tableau data management add-on, which basically consists of Tableau Prep, Conductor, and Tableau Catalog. So we will be talking about Tableau Prep, Conductor, and Tableau Catalog one by one. So first of all, let me take Tableau Prep, Conductor. So Tableau Prep Conductor helps you to automate the data cleaning or preparation process, so that as soon as any new data is entering the ecosystem, it is cleaned and prepared. So let me just show you that how basically Tableau Prep Conductor works. So once this particular data cleaning flow has been prepared, or this particular data cleaning flow has been created, so Sam has an option of going to the server option over here, and Sam basically has an option of I mean publishing this particular flow on the Tableau online environment or on the Tableau server. So I will just click on the server option, and I will go to the publish flow option over here. Yeah. So it is asking me that on Tableau Online, on which particular folder you want to save this particular flow. So let me keep the folder as default only, and I will name this particular flow as store data analysis. And I will click on the publish flow option over here. So this particular flow will now get published on the Tableau online environment. Just a minute. Yeah. So the flow has the flow has been published on the Tableau online environment. So if I just show you this particular flow on the Tableau online environment, so as you can see that whatever the flow with so as you can see that whatever the flow which was there on my system inside Tableau Prep, that particular flow has been now published over here. And over here we have the option of creating a new task. So if I just click on create new task option over here, so it is asking me to select a schedule. So select a schedule option basically means that it is the Tableau is basically asking us that was at what particular time we want to run this particular flow. So based on our based on our requirement, we can I mean select any particular schedule. For example, every 24 hours starting at 16:30. So I mean, if I just select this particular option and if I just create a task, so this particular flow will run at this particular time. And at this particular time, I mean, whatever the task we have selected, this particular flow will automatically run at this particular time. So I mean, if I just quickly summarize it. So I mean, I mean this particular this particular procedure of creating a new task over here on the server is basically automating the process of data cleaning. I mean, Sam doesn't have to I mean manually go inside the Tableau Prep and click on this run button to automate this process. I mean this particular flow will automatically run based on the schedule which we have applied. So this was all about Tableau Prep Conductor, which is one of the part of Tableau data management add-on. And the next part of Tableau data management add-on is a Tableau Catalog. So Tableau Catalog is built into Tableau Online, and it enables you to better manage your analytics so that you can have a complete view of your data in your environment. So Tableau Catalog basically helps you in achieving three things. It helps you in achieving better visibility, and it helps you in achieving better trust between the stakeholders and between the stakeholders in your organization. And similarly, it helps you in achieving better discovery of your data. So Tableau Catalog helps you in achieving better discovery via lineage and impact analysis, which I will just show you. The demo of lineage and impact analysis I will just show you using Tableau Online. So if I again go to my Tableau Online environment, and suppose if I go to the external assets option. So over here, I have one of the data, which is a sample store data. I mean, obviously, this is a very famous data store. I mean, anyone who is starting with Tableau knows about this particular data. So if I just open this particular data, so as you can see, it is giving me the entire lineage information of my data. That this particular sample superstore data basically contains 3 tables, and this particular data is basically going to 4 workbooks. And if I just click on this workbooks option, so this particular data is going to all of these workbooks, and there are basically five owners for this particular data. So this is basically giving me the entire lineage information. So this was all about the lineage. So for example, as of now, I mean, obviously this particular data is very small. But suppose in case we have a lot of data. For example, we have around 100 tables in 100 tables in the ecosystem, and there are around like 200 workbooks connected to all of those data. So in that case, it basically becomes very difficult for us to understand the lineage and to understand that how the information or how the data is flowing in the organization. So in that particular case, this particular lineage becomes very helpful. And for example, if I want to see the impact analysis, so impact analysis basically means that over here in the sample superstore, I have these 3 particular tables. I have the orders, I have the returns, and I have the people. But for example, if I want to make some change inside the orders table, or for example, if there is some change in the data for in the orders table, so what all other things will be impacted because of this particular change? So for example, if I just click this tick mark, and if I just select orders, so as you can see, all of these things are highlighted. So it basically represents that if I make any change in the orders table, so all the 5 owners and all the five sheets and all the 4 workbooks which are connected to this particular data will get affected. Similarly, if I click on this returns table, so I mean, in case of return, it will just affect one of the users and not all the 5 users. So this was all about the impact analysis. So I mean, as the name suggests, it is basically telling us the impact that if we basically change something in our data, what will be the impact in the entire data ecosystem which we have. So this was all about the this was all about lineage and impact analysis. And now, as the next step, I will be talking about that about trust, that how basically Tableau Catalog helps you in achieving better trust in your organization. So, for example, if I again go to this external assets option over here, so over here I have various data sets. I mean these are the data sets which are in my Tableau Online environment. I mean, which basically consist of various workbooks which are available inside my Tableau Online environment. So as a next step, for example, if I just search for any one particular data, let's say, I mean, for example, let me just search for one of, yeah. For example, I have this particular project management data. I mean one of the project management dashboard has been published on this particular Tableau Online environment, and this is the underlying project management data which I have for that particular dashboard. So if I just go inside this particular data and say I am the data steward for my organization, the task of data steward is basically to check that all the data which is there in the which is flowing inside the dashboard is basically accurate and correct. And being a data steward, I somehow knew that this particular data is not correct and there is some issue in this particular data. So as a next step, what Tableau Catalog allows us to do is to set up the data quality warnings and to certify the data sources, so that any of the stakeholder who is using that particular dashboard knows that boss, there is some issue in this particular data. So for example, this particular project management data, I mean, there's already a quality warning. So if I just go to the quality warning option, so over here, as you can see, we have the option of setting up a data quality warning that, I mean, this particular data is not correct. So over here we have the enable warning option, and I mean we can just set up any warning. So I mean, as of now, I'm selecting the under maintenance, and I can just put a message that uh, don't use this particular dashboard. So as the data is under maintenance. Yeah. So so as of now, I'm setting up this particular data quality warning, and I'm just clicking on the save option over here. So this particular data quality warning has been set up, and if I just go to the file where this particular project management dashboard is located. So if I just quickly open this particular file, I mean the file where the project management dashboard is located. So over here we have the project management dashboard, and as soon as I open this particular file, as you can see, a data quality warning is appearing right on the top. And if I just click over here, so I think it's not yeah. So it is basically giving me a data quality warning, and it basically indicates that the data is not correct. So I should not refer this particular dashboard for making any decisions. So this is where this is how Tableau Catalog enables in developing trust in our organization. And via this two factors, which is visibility and trust, it basically helps us in discovering better insights. I mean, we know that the data is right, so does it result in discovering insights using the right data? So that was all about the Tableau Prep and Tableau Catalog. And now I think we can take the questions.
All right, so we did have a question in the about doing custom fiscal years when you do the converting dates to the quarter. So I was wondering if you could really quickly sort of just demonstrate how to select that sort of fiscal year instead of just doing the standard conversion to a quarter.
Okay. Just a minute. Sure. I think you're talking about Tableau Prep, right? I mean, how we
Yes,
convert
yeah,
the
in
data.
Tableau Prep.
Okay, great. So just a minute. I'm just sharing my screen again. I think you're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the data I have. So if I just quickly add a clean step over here and say we want to convert this particular date column to the respective quarter number. So I will just right click over here. We have the convert dates option, and over here we have various options that we basically want to extract year out of this particular date or the quarter or the month. So I will just select quarter, and I mean, this is a very straightforward process, and all of these dates will get converted to the respective quarter numbers. So as you can see, I mean, whatever the dates we had earlier are now converted to their respective quarter numbers. So I hope it answers the question.
If you go back before you do the conversion,
Okay.
what they're specifically asking about is converting it to a quarter, but using the custom fiscal year.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay. For I mean, you mean to say that if the fiscal year instead of January, the fiscal year starting from the month of April, right?
Right. Correct.
I mean, in that case, I mean, there is not a direct. I don't think that there is a direct way. In that case, we need to create a calculated field. I mean, the custom calculation for that, I think.
If you go to convert dates there at the bottom.
Yeah, correct. We have custom fiscal date option, correct. And we just select we can just select the April option over here, and the date, the quarter.
Yeah, so that was Darlisa asking about the custom fiscal year. So I just wanted to demonstrate it real quick to see exactly how to do that. Okay. Let me see. We do have a question. When using the published data source as an output, do we have the option to have an incremental refresh on that output?
Yeah, we can do the incremental refresh if we are using the published data source. There's no issue in that.
Awesome. And then there was just a couple of general comments in the chat, and I'm sort of curious too. It's been a while since I've used or been in an environment with data management, and so do you, when you're using or in an environment with data management, you're using Prep Conductor, do you run into issues with scheduled flows running consistently, or just kind of random errors that don't seem to have a
I mean, yes, yeah. Please go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just saying that, I mean, obviously, if we publish the flows, I mean, if we have created some Tableau Prep flow and we have published that particular flow on the Tableau online environment or on the Tableau server environment, so that particular flow will run in a very streamlined fashion if the incoming data doesn't change. For example, if the format of incoming data is changing, for example, earlier we were having a particular column whose data type was something else now, and now if we have converted that particular data type to something else, for example, we were having true false fields in our data, and earlier the data type was boolean, and now the data type is changed to string. So that is where it causes problems. So I mean, if we want to manage the Tableau Prep Conductor in a more efficient way, so we just need to make sure that there are no changes in the incoming data, because if there are any changes in the incoming data, then we need to change the logic accordingly inside our Tableau Prep flow. So I hope it, and I mean, I have also worked with most of the clients, and most of the clients basically face the same issue that I mean, their data is quite inconsistent for some of the fields. I mean, earlier the field was representing something else, and now the field has been changed to something else. So that is where the issue comes.
All right. Lastly, and I think this could really be also posed to anybody in the group here. Do you all have any hints on getting the safe list to work? There's some issues with any prep flows that might be connected to files in a safe list location. Just is there any advice on making sure that those don't give errors when they're running on a schedule?
I would say it's not something that I've worked with myself much, but I would say that that would be one to work closely with your Tableau server admin to work on your safe list together and make sure that the connections are all kind of as you'd expect, and then sort of you can work from there to work it out.
I will also say for just the general, I know that I have also run into issues where like a prep flow will be working fine one day and then the next day it's not working and it's giving me an error message that's not very helpful. It's just kind of saying, it's telling me it can't determine the error. I found that if you download the flow locally, it usually does give you a little bit more detailed error message. And then also Tableau does have a very handy little, it's an application on GitHub that you can use to make the log files a little bit easier to read. And so those can sometimes also be a little bit helpful to try and really pinpoint what's causing the error. But yeah, that was a great presentation, AJ.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. So next, yeah, let's hand over to you, Will, for your presentation now. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Can you see that? That's coming through.
Yep, we can see.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me back. It's been a few months and life has changed a little bit for me. But I wanted to bring you up to speed. I have now made 2 prep flows. This is when I last spoke to you, I'd only done 1. But this was a bit more of a step up in demands for my side, which was for the Iron Viz competition. So I wanted to talk to you today about prepping for the Iron Viz final. And Iron Viz is Tableau's data visualization competition. It's the biggest data viz competition in the world and the final is held live in Vegas in front of 5,000 people. So no room for hiding on my prep skills from that. But in this talk, I wanted to introduce you to how I tackled the Iron Viz competition with Tableau Prep, how I went about building out the prep flow, and really special thanks to Jenny for giving me some tips on how I can improve prep flows for the future. And the motivation behind this talk is really because I think all of us have kind of entered into this place before where we're in a bit of up against it, or maybe a bit out of our depth before, where we're given a new tool and we're asked to deliver something. I mean, you think back to work projects or interview tasks where you suddenly, here's a tool, go and see what you can make with it and show us what you can do. So that's what I really felt with Iron Viz. So please take some inspiration notes from this, from the way I tackled this project. So a little bit about me. I'm a consultant with the Information Lab. I've been a long-term Tableau user and do a lot of coding. As I mentioned, not a prep expert. Please don't ask me any technical questions. So I've done 2 to date, but that second one got me into the Iron Viz final, in which I won over in May, over in Vegas. So prep, I would be honest, has been largely a part of the work I do for data visualizations. I always feel that prep is the key for unlocking really fun, interesting data visualization, or having your own spin on things. I wanted to share a few of them here from my portfolio. So over here in the top left, we're assessing different color palettes from images of Pokemon, so we could understand if you would just dial down, say, a Pokemon to 7 colors, what would they look like and how much of them, which is shown in these little tree maps. I also use prep to help more, I suppose, elaborate kind of vizzes. So in this case, we were looking at Chrissy Wellington, who is a triathlete champion, one of my sporting heroes. I was using prep to calculate how far ahead in the race she was when she finished first to the second competitor, which is shown in these little radial lines here. Super impressive athlete, do look her up. And lastly, I was using Tableau Prep to create a bit more of a customized view of map players. So this is just a visualization about driving test pass rates in the UK by different locations. And I was using this kind of, you might be able to see it here, this little like uphill, downhill motif to show where the trickier pass rates were and where the easiest ones were. So if you want to pass your test in the UK, go to like rural parts of Scotland. You probably have to drive for an hour to find a roundabout, so not too bad. And this has all been part of like Tableau community. I do a lot of sharing my work on social media, and really sharing the workflows with that as well. And I'm now still working on a community project called Games Like Viz, which is about sharing data sets and visualization challenges around data inspired by games. So do check us out if you're interested. But today we'll talk about Iron Viz. And Iron Viz is divided up into two parts. So there's a feeder competition and then there's the actual final. So to get to the final, I had to complete in the feeder. And that competition, you've got to, they're given a theme. So it's about visualizing arts this time. And you've got to just find a data set, got a month, and then you're going to go and build something out of that that you're going to be judged on for design, storytelling, and analysis. And arts is a difficult subject. It's really difficult for me to think of anything more than art gallery sort of work. But one idea struck me on the games theme was this idea of a game that I played with my family during lockdown about interpreting different artworks. So in this game called Drawful 2, you are given a prompt. You have to draw it and then people have to guess what it is, which leads to some, it was very challenging creations from a member of my family. I was very puzzled looking at any of these, thinking, well, what is it meant to be? What does it mean? And I've really used that as a vehicle to pose it to people online. What do you think these images mean? And try and poll them for the results. So that data went into a Google form, which was then collected, that all those responses, which I then prepped with Python because I didn't have Tableau Prep, and then use that to recreate the game of Drawful in this. So you would, on here, you would click a different option to see if you thought this was one of these options. You would click that, and then at the end you would get an output of your responses compared to everyone who answered the survey, giving a bit more of a user experience to the visualization. So you got 2 right, but that actually isn't too bad. All things considered, most people only get 1 right, and you may have got this answer wrong, but 40% of people agree with you. So different spin on that, but all built together with Prep. How I managed to have this user experience, these radial charts, and the Sankey diagram all brought together by using prepping the data first. And then this happened. This came out of the blue because, as mentioned, this was largely about, can anyone make sense of these drawings? And apparently people liked it. So then this announcement came up, and this was the top 10. Really, this is one of the things I enjoy about visualization and this sort of topic, all these competitions. You get such a range of different pieces of work that you can always take inspiration from. So there's got to be a lot of prep going on alongside these as well. So different themes of art and public spaces. This one, Lost But Not Forgotten, which is about art thefts, about music, about movies, about color. Really interesting. I do love this how to make a hit movie one, where you give them a prompt for a film that you want to make, and they'll tell you how well it's going to do in the box office, which I thought was really interesting. Or this one by Color Studies by Emily Padu, where she actually gives a voiceover of the visualization in the work, which is interesting. But for me, CJ and Kimley, we were off to Vegas. We were off to the final to compete in this, and being picked for the final. I mean, it's one of those times of sheer unbelievable excitement, and then paralyzing absolute terror, I've got to say. So I mean, I'm super excited. I get to go to Vegas, be part of all this experience, meet all these people that I've never met before. But I've got to be up here. I've got to be up here in front of all these people and think, oh, this isn't the thing where I wanted to go, but it's going to be an experience. And I really sort of took this as, there's going to be a journey. Out of this, I'm going to be a better person, better data analyst, better everything. And that's where I went. I'm going on a journey. I have a data set and I have Tableau Prep. The theme for this, the final, was education. My cohort, my colleague Mark Radmore described this nicely as Swiss cheese, which we'll get to later. Whereas so there's a lot of holes in the data set, but I was on this journey. I had to in 3 weeks get to a data story that was fit for that stage in Vegas to really entice the crowd and interest them. But come draw back to this, I'm no expert in Tableau Prep, and suddenly I've got to build something that great in 3 weeks, and I've only barely got any time with the tool. So really trying to remember all these times when I've been in this kind of situation before, of what can I do given all like my lack of knowledge with the tool. And it's all about, I suppose, there's so many things you can do with prep in terms of like cleaning, pivoting, evaluating the data in Tableau Prep. It really needs to find a bit of direction of what it was going to do, have that story that I was going to tell with Tableau Prep. And that's really like directly, you've got to aim for what your audience is interested in, what your audience wants to see at the end of the day. And when I opened up the data set, this is what I find. So I have a data set on education. There's several metrics or variations of the same metric and varying degrees of data quality. So I've got an example here about female youth literacy in Madagascar over 12 years. And I suppose like the eagle-eyed among you could probably guess that there's not so many data points here. So there's probably 3 data points out of 12 years. So 3/4 of my data is null. And this is an analyst that kind of knocks you back, think, what can I do with this? How can I use this or any of this to make something that big, that great for that stage in Vegas? I had at this point just a moment just to step back for a second and just think, well, what do my audience want? What do the experts say about this? Because this isn't a new territory. Literacy education has been talked about a lot. And when I looked around on TED Talks for hours, just watching these different talks, and it's really interesting, the tone and the data points that came back were actually, they're not so interested that, hey, literacy rates increased by 20%. They would just say, hey, literacy increased. And then they would go on to what the impact of literacy was, what the benefits of it were, really selling like, we should be doing this, rather than caring that metric improved or not. They cared it improved, but not by like 10 or 20% didn't matter. It's just that what was the impact. So they then gave me a lot of like new direction of how I was going to work with the data. And for my work, it then became, I really needed to talk about these people, these impacts on human lives. I mean, these are educators. They have a duty to work through the syllabus, but they're really interested in trying to benefit the classroom in front of them, those people in front of them. So I really need to stress people, really need to stress what the impact of education literacy was going to be, and try and drill it down to like a simple core message. I only had a few minutes on stage to talk about the work. So you can see some of them here, say like literacy is the answer, literate life, very like key, quite simple messages to share. So when I get back to my data set, those holes, those different metrics, what can I do with it all? And then think, well, knowing what I know, when it comes to picking metrics, I want to know what's going to show their impact. I also want to do something that really resonates with that audience, that crowd. So really picking metrics that were going to help me understand like different locations, different genders, different ages. So you could build a story based, say, if I could say, get a group of people that were aged about the same as my audience, that makes it quite relatable to them. Or perhaps they could talk about locations. Say a lot of people in the crowd were brought up in the US, but they've been brought up in a different country. This is what their life could have been like. And when it came looking back at that data set for over 12 years, can I just say simply that literacy increased? And yes, it did. Like, we don't need to know that we were missing data in like 2003, because over those 12 years, literacy did increase. And then we can talk about like the benefits, the positives from it. So then it started building out the different kind of views. So I can I can show you this. So this idea of like using data points as people. We've got that up here. So this is the actual final build dashboard that you can download from my Tableau public account. So part of this was this group of 100 people here that helped me tell the story of literacy, the benefits, and all the woe that go on between. So explaining, hey, you're illiterate, you could not be illiterate, and what does this mean? That there's a gender gap here. If you're a woman, you're more likely to be illiterate. And then sharing, say, what the increases were. So using animation Tableau, but the secret behind this dashboard, this here is just a scatter plot. This is just a scatter plot that I'm using to assign positions to these different 100 people, and then using a stage to animate through them. And when we look at the prep flow, it comes across that there's this scatter plot is in here. So it's a scatter plot, 100 people laid out. There's extra metrics around like size and color, and some dummy data as well, just shown off screen, just so it was easier to build in the time limit we had. And you could probably look at this and think, whoa, this is a bit confusing. When I look back at it, it's sort of like a spider's web of woe going on here, of where I've taken that list of 100 people, duplicated it several times, and made those slight adjustments for each of the people's position, and then union them all together, followed by those extra step of size and like off-screen data as well. So in this case, I really felt when I look back and when I get the tips that actually I'm repeating the same step here several times over. So I've had a go at trying to make a version now if I know what I know now. So let's have a look here. So from the outset, I feel that the after looks a lot more appealing on the eye, a lot simpler to follow, not quite so much chaos going on. And I can explain what I've put together here. So I've used the join here. So your eye will notice that I brought in an extra data source coming in. So you had your XY position, you had your positions for your 100 people, and then a step for each time I was clicking on that parameter. So I've used that to scale the data to create that list of person IDs and made a join to make that happen. I then gone and created each of the columns, so like the X and the Y axes, assigned the colors, assigned the size, all as one individual calculation, applying to all the data set rather than doing the same one over and over again in different plot spots. It makes it much easier for me, if I would say had an issue, to go back and find the area I need to fix, rather than something that went through in the flow there. I'm like, why is this not working? Would have probably saved me some time in that 3 weeks. And lastly, just a lot of comments and descriptions. I can now come back to this and actually understand what's going on. Whereas before, when I came back to this, like, whoa, that's a bit mad going on here. But no disrespect, the thing at the top works, but the thing at the bottom would work for other people to understand as well. So trying to make it much more open to everyone else to understand what I'm doing here. The next step we had was these 3 different stories I brought in. So part of the data was showing the benefits of literacy, and this was what I tried to do with this section here, was pick out 3 different people from around the world and share their stories of they were educated and what happened since that point. You could see that there's different metrics being brought in here. So you have a country followed by a comparison group of countries that didn't improve literacy. So you can see the direct benefits of, say, being in India, being in Zambia, being in Nepal for these 3 metrics. And when we look at the prep flow itself, I mean, it looks better than the last one, I think, but it still has some complications in here. But you can see what we're doing. We're splitting out the comparison group at the top. That gray line is being brought here. So all 3 of those metrics coming together, being clean, being pivoted. And then we have those group of improvers. So we have fertility, GDP, and life expectancy, those individual countries coming together, being pivoted, grouped together, or union together. Everything's being unioned together and output as a data source. And when I have my sort of heart-to-heart look back at this, I sort of see that, hey, what I'm doing here is making two different streams of the data that are making quite similar changes throughout. And I can then also see that actually there's a lot of calculation, a lot of changes going on in one place here. That was quite confusing when I went back. A lot of fields being created, things being filtered, things being removed, a lot going on if I was going to go back and rework that tool. And then several different pivots going on here. So again, I'm repeating the same process again and again, whereas, you know, be much more efficient if it was just one rather than several. So that's what it is. So we have another like re-prep, if you like, of this. So looking at slightly longer, but much more like coherence, I think. So starting with our data source, we're then going to split out improvers, non-improvers, and then group those values, group the non-improver data together because it's a few countries that need to be aggregated together. Work out my growth for GDP, change in life expectancy, and clean up any unneeded fields before doing the pivot and renaming, filtering things up for the output. So here we're doing that column, making a column to act as the two different streams rather than splitting them out in Tableau Prep, doing single calculations that apply to all of the data in this case, and then one pivot rather than four. So you can really see, like, it's much more simpler to look at, much more understandable. And again, we've got all those comments in there to help us guide us along the way if someone new was coming to this work. Well, and then off to the grand finale. So the last section of this, so we have more on the people. It's a sort of motif throughout the build, but then we get to the stage where we have visualization of a map. We have some charts come in via map layers as well. And this I can tell you was very complicated. So we have a simple map of illiteracy in 2022. We then also have, and then the idea is that you would interact with here, and then these charts would update as well based on this country that you've picked. So when we look back at the prep flow, it's big. It's really, really big, and it has two different outputs, which you can just about see. That map that you saw, and also there's little charts in the bottom right-hand corner. And I can show you, like, this thing in a bit better detail is insane. And I don't know how I did this at the time, but it is huge how I managed to make it work because it's hugely complicated. So we start over here with our 3 data sets that we're pulling in. We then do a bit cleanup, pivoting, union, more cleaning apparently, aggregating, joining, more clean, more aggregate, more joining. It's mad. Like, and this is what now we've produced one data set here, and then it keeps going. It keeps going for those other charts, and then we produce another one. So as you can see in this, maybe in the bottom right here, you can see it really is much bigger, much longer than any of the other flows I've put together. And it really led me to a question when I was reviewing this work of, where do you begin? It's so big, so all empowering thing. Where do you even start? And I really had to try and break this down to quite a simple structure. So let's try and just get to that map of illiteracy. So I then worked out the process for that. I was going to need to find overall literacy rates for all countries and the world since 2002. I was going to use a compound growth rate to forecast literacy until 2022 because we only had data up to 2016 in most cases. And then I was going to need to filter for countries below that average so I could work out those that are more likely to be illiterate. And so this is the rework I have made. So It's taking that education data set, finding and splitting it up really in nice, like compact data, so you can split up, find that literacy rates and filter for the correct year. Then you use your compound growth to work out what the start and end years were for each of your countries, create that CAGR, and then forecast that forward to 2022. And then we could filter the countries below that average. So really trying to help break this down into steps. Even like I found writing it down really helpful in this case, just so I could do one bit at a time rather than thinking about getting from start to finish in one go. And say Rome wasn't built in a day. It's these big things are convoluted and hard to break apart, and so it makes it quite challenging for rewrites. So in this, I just aim to rewrite one bit, just one bit. There's one data source output or sequence of transformations, just so I could make this improvement to the workflow to make it more understandable and something that everyone could use. Okay, so again, this case much more short and simpler than the before case. I do want to sum up with just a few, like just some of my takeaways on this is that, yeah, looking back on this project, the first draft I would say could probably be improved, and that we should, when we've got a bit of time, try and look and see, because our skills develop with prep and other tools, then we can always go back to the earlier piece of work and say, oh, knowing what I know now, what could I do differently and what could I improve? So for my prep flow, maybe, you know, you can take this for your own prep flows as well, is that when I look back, it was really about trying to aim to reduce that complexity, aim of this absolute, as I say, spider web of woe, try and get rid of that where possible, think about how I could bring, say, that join in to fix this unnecessary duplication of data sets. Also trying to avoid this repetition where I've broken things up into different streams and I find myself doing the same transformation again and again, but to different parts of the data set. And really one of the big differences for me was writing for clarity, so everyone can understand that what these different sections are doing. So understanding that this calculation is going to be growth in GDP and what that means in human speak, in layman's terms. So I always kind of think when you're reviewing your kind of work, would someone be able to understand, someone new be able to understand this project if they had to take it on from you? And that really helps us build much more better prep flows that are more understandable by people in the business and helps the work move further around and the knowledge move around further. So that is all from me today. I just want to say thank you again for having me back. If you want to carry on this conversation about prep and data visualization, I'm around. I'm on social media. I've got Tableau public accounts. That visualization is there, available to download. GitHub, Instagram, if you like. And if you're in the realm of looking for like new projects, come check out Games Like Viz. We are running a project at the moment about music with our friends at Data Plus Music. So we're sharing all kinds of mix of games and sounds and soundtracks. It's quite fun. So we've got games like Guitar Hero or Just Dance. We've even got soundtracks from GTA, which are my personal favorite. But yeah, come check us out. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much, Will. I'm going to jump in ahead of any of the questions in the chat because I just wanted to ask you quickly. So when you were designing your prep flow for Iron Viz, did you already know exactly what your charts would be, sort of, or was it an evolving thing as well with that?
It was definitely an evolving thing. I think, as you might be able to tell, some of them are a bit convoluted. So like I would have like an idea here, like I needed to get to a literacy view that I wanted of the modern day, because as I mentioned, some of the data ended in 2016. It's not the story I wanted to tell. I wanted to bring it up to date. So I knew I wanted to do a bit of forecasting here, and so this thing just kind of evolved into this monster flow, if you like. So absolutely, there was a bit of evolution going on. And I did try and tidy this up because you have to send it over to Tableau at the end. But even doing that, it's not the cleanest thing going. So yeah, there was a bit of evolving, but also a bit of cleanup. So it was worse than this.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it worked, right? That's the main thing,
That's the
is
thing,
that
yeah.
it worked.
Got me there. So
Definitely. I'll give a couple more seconds in case anyone does have any questions to drop into the Q&A. But if not, thank you so much, Will,
no
for
problem.
presenting today. We loved having you back, and yeah, I was really interested in hearing all of that.
Thank you.
Cool. I think we will wrap it up there then. Yep, I can see some thank yous coming through. Thank you again to Ajay as well for presenting today. It's been great to have you both to hear about data management add-on, hear about Iron Viz prep workflow. Both of those I think were really interesting chats. So thanks everyone for coming, and we will see you at the next Prep Use group in October.